ridiculous. Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
So I've spent most of the past week trying to find flights and organizing a trip for my daughter.
Oh, my.
She has decided that she wants to go up to Vancouver for a week. And, well, actually, she also had part of it was an invitation because her friend got her some concert tickets to go see Katy Perry. Yeah, so
cool.
Her and her friend have loved Katy Perry since they were kids, and I guess Katy Perry is coming to Vancouver, and her friend got her some tickets, and so the Katy Perry concert is on the Monday. Well, what started out as a quick flight up there to see Katy Perry has now turned into 8 days.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Kristen's amazing adventure to Canada.
And you're not going? You don't get to go?
No, I'm not going. I am I'm staying because she wants to do it on her own. So
that's very cool.
Yeah.
Does she have instructions to bring you back ketchup chips, though?
Of course she does. We're sending her with an empty suitcase. We know how to do this. But so she's going to leave here and fly up to Vancouver, and then she's going to spend a couple days with her friend. And then she's going to get on another plane, which is actually a little one of these kind of puddle jumper planes. It's like, one seat on both sides or on either side. Mm-hmm. And then she's going to fly up and see my in-laws for a few days. And
neat.
They live about 4 hours north of Vancouver. And so she's going to spend a couple days with them. And then turn around and fly back to Vancouver, but she's going to actually get a connection and just fly straight down here. So that'll be interesting, too, for her, because she's going to have to go from the domestic terminal over the international terminal and do U.S. Customs on her own, which is, like, always really, like, tenuous. And, so it's kind of, Kristen's big Canadian adventure.
Did I see she was going on a college tour, too, there?
Yes, and while she's there, she is going to go on a tour of my alma mater and check out the university. And actually, my grandmother went there, my father went there, I went there, and now she's interested. So she's going to go and check that out.
How would you feel about her being at school that far away, though?
Oh, I'd be fine.
You'd have reason to go visit all the time.
There you go.
Of course I would, yeah. And, it's closer than going to the East Coast or, Texas true. Or, I mean, it's a 2-hour flight north, so it's...
Yeah.
And for me, it's home, so it almost feels like...
Yeah.
We have people there, my parents are there, we've got friends, we've got other family, she would be surrounded by... people that she knew. So anyway, so I'm kind of excited for her.
Very excited.
A little bit nervous.
Yeah.
And Anyway, so the last part of that story is that it's up in Canada, of course, and it will be in February.
Yeah.
And so last week I went and bought her a nice kind of a down jacket. Because she's going to obviously need it when she, maybe not necessarily in Vancouver, but when she goes up to see my in-laws. And I brought it home and she looked at it and she said, "Mom, why on earth would I be wearing a jacket in February?"
Oh, sweetheart.
Oh, my dear, you need to leave Southern California really fast. You have no idea.
Especially if you might go to school there.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, it will be very educational for her in more ways than one.
Yeah. Is this her first solo trip?
This is her first solo trip, yes.
Wow.
And her best friend has been down here like 4 times on her own, and so this is Kristen's first time doing the reverse. So yeah. Anyway, that's our big Our big, well, yeah.
I would be in a dark room with a cloth over my eyes the entire time.
No, I'm already there for other reasons, so it's all good. One thing at a time.
I was going to say my kids have never traveled by themselves, so my daughter did go on a band trip without me. I went on one of them as a chaperone, but the first one she went on was without me, and I was tracing her way across the country by the use of her bank card. Oh, okay, she ate today. That's good. I see a charge here at a restaurant.
See, I have the the tracking on her iPhone. So
this was in the dark days before I had that.
Yeah, you couldn't do that.
So
and even Snapchat,
you had to be clever
now.
Yeah.
Snapchat.
So many more resources for parents who want to spy on their traveling children than there used to be. God bless technology.
When I was her age, I flew from Northern Ontario to Sydney, Australia on my own.
Wow.
And back again. Well, a year later. But I can imagine how my parents dealt with that.
Yeah.
And that was back when, certainly before cell phones, and even when it was like a big deal to make a long distance phone call.
That was like, it was like once a month if I was lucky.
Yeah.
And then it was for 30 seconds. Hi, how are you? Good, fine. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Still breathing? Excellent. Okay. Everything's good here. Bye.
Okay, bye. Love you. Okay.
Well, this is going to go with our main topic. So let me jump in. And say hello and welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about. Where did that come from? Talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now, and celebrating like big trips. Yeah. I'm Catherine Haleko, and with me today are Terri Morrow.
Hello.
And Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
Travel agent. So today on the podcast, we're going to talk about emergency preparedness, and that includes communication, like we've been talking about. That's going to be on our speed round. We will shout out some stuff we like on the Roundabout Roundup and do some shameless self-promotion. But first, as you may know, schools around the country have very frequent lockdown drills, other safety drills. They have actual lockdowns for incidents. And we were talking about this recently among the three of us and just thinking about all of the kind of issues that it brings up. So we thought we would talk about that today. So Nicole, take it away.
Yeah, so living where we do, and just the very sheer amount of people that live down here. There is always something happening, good or bad, sadly. And so our schools have reacted or, created emergency lockdowns in response to some of these events that have actually been quite scary, and especially in more recent years. And so whenever there is, they have this set of criteria preceding the decision to lock down the school. And usually it involves, some action happening around the school, whether police action or, other kinds of perpetrator action. Police tanks or whatever they call them, or helicopters SWAT teams. So last year alone, there were 3 lockdowns at my daughter's school.
Actual lockdowns and not drills?
Actual lockdowns not drills. Yeah.
That's a lot.
So it is a tremendous amount, especially for this small little community that we live in, although we are adjacent to San Bernardino and all these other places that are, they have higher rates of things gone bad.
Yeah.
and they somehow make it over into Redlands. But anyway, so there's this whole kind of procedure that happens when there's this lockdown. And it's almost, in the first couple times, of course, my daughter was a little bit, she was quite alarmed. I mean, the one thing they do allow the kids to do is to use their cell phones to communicate with their parents, although they do encourage them not to go on social media in case, they can be tracked, or I don't know what that whole situation is.
You get a text from your kid, we're locked down.
Yeah. Yeah, and so...
what are you supposed to do?
Exactly, and so...
my goodness.
So I know of one incident. So last year that my daughter was in English class. No, this was her freshman year because they had a lockdown freshman year too. Anyway, so I guess what happens is there's some kind of a phone call or an announcement over the PA system, and immediately the kids have to shut the blinds, turn off the lights, and move away from the windows. And then they have to sit under their desks on the floor. And then
I'm picturing like a 6 foot tall 16-year-old trying to sit under a desk. Like,
I know, or I guess maybe beside it, or at least on the floor somewhere, but they have to stay low, right?
Are these those little desks? It's like the chair and the desk together.
Yes.
Oh man.
So I guess they're sitting beside it, maybe, or something that they have to sit. They have to get
fit
down
under it myself, but I can see where it would be a problem for others.
Yeah, they have to get down, and so then of course the cell phones come out, and she's telling me that they're in lockdown, and of course I don't know really what's going on other than. She's telling me, and I said, can you hear anything? Is there open fire? Like, what's happening out there? And so the kids just basically kind of have to wait it out. And it's really kind of, for parents, it's unnerving. And then, of course, in addition to the whole procedure, the kids don't know how long they're going to be there.
Yeah.
And there was an incident a couple years ago in our school district where one child had to use the bathroom and couldn't get to the washroom, and so there was the garbage can alternative, and so then the district decided that was humiliating, and so in its place they put these big orange Home Depot buckets in the
because that's different. How?
That's less humiliating. How? Yeah,
that's less humiliating.
Oh my goodness! Is there at least a curtain in front of it or something?
I have no idea. That's a really good question. Like, where would you go?
Everybody turn around while I take this
plug
bucket.
Your ears.
Oh goodness!
So and then
it's terrifying.
Yeah, it is, and of course there's that whole loss of instructional time and.
Yes.
But I guess my point is that it's becoming common, and my daughter just kind of brushes it off now. Like the first couple times it was like, Mom, we're on lockdown, and I'd be like, I was telling the other parents, and we were all like listening to the news and wondering what was going on, and now it's just kind of like, okay, here we go again. Just play your game on your phone, wait it out. It'll be fine. So
even the drills they take a long time. I mean, I happened to be in one of my son's classes last month, and they were going to be having a drill like later that day or that week or something. Mm-hmm. Or no, they were going to be having it on a subsequent day because the teacher was talking about them. They would be in that room, and where exactly would they go, and what they would do, and how they had to sit still and be quiet for 20 to 30 minutes. And I mean, I couldn't do that.
Right.
Like, I don't know how a 10 or 12 or 17-year-old can do that.
Yeah.
Or God forbid, a 5-year-old.
My kids certainly can't. Yeah. That was always a problem for my son. And I would get notes home saying that I should explain to him the importance of this and, tell him that he has to sit still. And it's like, he has a neurological disability. Yeah. He can't, it's like, hit him over the head with something, he'll sit still. But other than that, there's no off switch. I mean, I always thought that probably if there was an actual event and there was gunfire and it was clear that something was going on, possibly he would have been so scared that he would have sat still. But those drills are just nothing. It's just at some point in your day, everybody says, okay, let's everybody sit on the floor and be quiet for half an hour. That's hard.
That's really hard. Like, I think that's hard for all kids, and certainly it's even harder if the kid has a disability or a condition that would make it more difficult for them.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
No, and that's. I mean, I'm not sure how things go in the special ed contained classrooms. I'm not sure what the situation looks like there, but at least with my daughter's classes, they can pull out their phone, and that keeps them relatively quiet and busy.
Yeah.
But, and then, and these lockdowns aren't the only drills that we have here. I mean, on top of that, we have the fire drills and then the earthquake drills. So it's just what are we doing living here? I don't know.
What do they do for the earthquake drills? I know we used to get under our desks, but I think that was an atomic bomb drill, which we always, as we were doing it, thinking, well, this is completely ridiculous. This is not going to help at all.
Yeah, no. So for earthquake drills, they have to actually leave the building, and they all walk out to the either the football field or the soccer field.
Oh, and just hope a big hole doesn't open up in the ground.
Yeah, or just hope.
Yeah, but that's better than being stuck in a building.
There's not enough doorways in the building for everybody to stand under one.
Apparently not. So no, I think they all congregate on the soccer field on the south side of the campus. And then there's big shipping containers that have supplies. So let's hope that the shipping containers survive whatever is going on. So, wow. Yeah, it's quite, and that is mayhem. That is utter mayhem because you've got 2,500 kids out on a soccer field and teachers trying to contain them. So I appreciate that there are these emergency procedures in place. I'm just not sure how. I guess maybe they're the best way possible. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a necessary thing, and yet I question how much good it actually will do. Mm-hmm. You got to do something. You got to prepare kids for it somehow, and you got to not have them do it for the first time when they really have to do it. But at the same time, I'm not sure the disruption is worth, because one would hope that in most schools it will never actually be necessary. Mm-hmm. But I know in our school, I live right next door to a high school that has thousands of kids. It's a big high school. Mm-hmm. And one time I think they did an evacuation that I remember, because I think I was at the elementary school, which is a little bit of a walk away from it. And they had to take the kids, evacuate the kids from the school and divide them over 3 or 4 locations because there was too many to go to one place. So some of them were going to this, every class had a designation. You go to this school or you go to this other school. Some of them were walking up the street to another school. Some of them were on buses. It was like this whole mobilization, which you have to practice, I guess, but I'm not sure it would have gone that smoothly if there was an actual emergency, because everybody would have been freaked out. Right. And it's, you're at the elementary school and suddenly 500 high school kids come tromping in. It's a little disruptive for everybody. The entire school district was disrupted for these things. But yeah, it was interesting yesterday, just as I knew we were going to be talking about this. All of a sudden, at 4 o'clock, I notice a whole bunch of police cars at the school next door, and they're herding kids out of the building, down and across the street. Somebody's talking on a bullhorn. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but it seemed obvious they were evacuating the building. Now, this was after school, so there was, I guess it was just, kids who were there practicing the play, kids in the pit band. I think there maybe was a basketball game or something going on, so there was kids in the gym. So it was a smaller amount than would be on a normal day, but still, it was a considerable amount of kids to get out. And then there were police cars, at least 7 or 8 police cars up and down the side of the building for 2 or 3 hours afterwards. Wow. And I'm not a nosy Nelly. I'm sitting here at my desk. I have a window next to my desk, and I could, it was like Christmas, the amount of lights I had out of my window. But I was on Facebook seeing, does anybody know? And people said, oh yeah, my kid was sent home. They said it was the weather, but clearly it's not the weather. So I still don't know what it was, which seems odd. It seems like somebody should have made a statement. The rumors are that it was a bomb scare, or possibly not a scare. I don't know. They seem to be searching for a real long time. So I don't know. It's it's weird when those kinds of things happen. And my gosh, if that had happened during the day, it would have been quite an operation. Because even just herding the number of kids that were there at 4 o'clock required a lot of yelling by bullhorn. Yeah. And I'm like, should I stay away from my windows? Is something going on there that I should know about?
Yeah. Right. Makes you wonder. Now, what about you, Catherine? Do you guys have cold weather drills? Do you have winter blizzard drills?
There was one time when it was like the second day of school or something, and there was a tornado warning or something that required them to, this was my kids were in elementary school, and something that required them to all be herded into like internal rooms without windows. And apparently my son, who was like 6, just thought it was fun. You know, he didn't care. My daughter, who was older, was completely freaked out and like crying and, you know, really upset. So,
Right.
You know, but what could you do? I mean, it was the second day of school. They couldn't have practiced or prepared, you know, for any of this in advance. So,
Right.
and I don't think in previous years they had practiced that particular thing. Like, it wasn't a lockdown where they would shelter in their classroom. It wasn't a fire drill where they would evacuate.
Right.
It was another thing. So I don't know if after that they started practicing it, or they just were like, well, that's probably not going to happen again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
I also feel sorry for the staff in those situations, because if it is actually a real thing, I mean, your adults are going to be freaked out too, and you have to, I guess, try to be calm for the kids. But if somebody's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's such a stressful situation.
It is stressful. Yeah. Very stressful.
I have sympathy, but don't yell at my kid. So,
well, don't yell at him when he can't help it. You know, he's not trying to be.
You know, I mean, I used to ask for if they were going to do a fire drill to let me know, and I would keep him home on those days because the noise bothered him. But of course, for these kinds of drills, you can't. They have to be a surprise, and everybody has to do it. And so,
our school, when they have lockdown drills, they plan them in advance, and they tell the kids, they tell the parents. They definitely keep you informed, and because they say, you know, you won't be able to enter the building or call us or, you know, anything during that like half hour.
Right.
So, yeah, they do alert.
So then if you get the text from your kid that they're in a lockdown and you know it wasn't scheduled, then you
can panic. Exactly.
Boy, I bet social media has become a hotbed of that. I mean, the kids aren't supposed to go on social media, but I bet the parents hit it pretty fast. Mm-hmm. Is there immediately, Nicole, when these things happen?
Oh, yeah. It's
everybody's on Facebook going, what's happening?
Yeah, so much
like
for
I
the
was
phone
doing
tree.
last night.
There is no phone tree. It's like, you know, it's all over, Twitter and texting and social media, and it's every man for themselves. So,
so much for that not panicking thing.
Mm-hmm. So much. But yeah, I think we're the ones that panic more than the kids, obviously.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Because you're powerless. You can't do anything. You don't know what's going on.
I know. So it's just, it's not something I ever thought we'd have to deal with. The only thing that, when I was teaching, we dealt with fire drills. And then when I moved to Vancouver, we dealt with earthquake drills as well, but not these lockdown situations. So
have your kids ever been in a school when something actually, when there actually was an earthquake?
I was in university when we had an earthquake, but it was so quick, and none of us really realized what it was or what was going on. That was kind of the funny thing. We all just kind of sat there and looked at each other.
That's what I like about earthquakes.
And then by the time we realized what it was, we just, okay, that was it. Like the windows shook, but and the desks moved. But
you don't have all that advanced panic. You only have panic in the moment.
No, yeah. So, and knock on wood, nothing's happened since. So
yeah, well, really bad earthquakes, I think, generally in my experience, are early in the morning. So people generally aren't at school.
Yeah, that is true. They're a little bit, morning or late at night.
Right.
I find
the ones that I was involved in, I was home. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's a weird world. That our kids have to deal with this.
Yeah.
It is.
And the teachers have to deal with this. And my sympathies. I can't think of any good way, really, to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Every way to do it is wrong or problematic. But boy, do they have to figure out a way to help kids go to the bathroom in these situations. A bucket, that is just horrifying.
That is never, ever going to be used.
Yes. It's like, could I just go out of the room and be shot, please?
Yeah, I would. I think most high schools, at least girls, would either hold it until they die or prefer to go out in the hall in the midst of active gunfire.
Yes, a big bag of Depends in the corner, maybe, and just everybody can just go discreetly put one on.
There you go. Emergency preparedness.
There you go. It's just causing kids to have to go to the bathroom every 15 minutes, just in case.
Right.
We're talking about how schools prepare for emergencies, but do we do anything along those lines at home? Do y'all have like a diagram of your house on how to get out in the fire? Do you have the appropriate things under the windows for kids to climb down? Do you have, 500, well, Catherine has 500 rolls of toilet paper.
I do.
Basement, but that's just as
I'm totally good.
Course of every day, you're totally ready. But do you have... The thing that people seem to buy around here is milk, if it looks like something terrible is going to happen. The stores all run out of milk. I've never been in an emergency where my first thought was, but are we going to have enough milk?
Will we have any milk? Yeah.
Toilet paper, though, I would worry about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the things you need are like toilet paper and canned goods and maybe bottled water.
And Wi-Fi and electricity.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, the only thing that we have stockpiled is the paper goods. Yeah, we know.
Do either of you guys have a generator?
No.
I always think I should get one of those, but then it seems like I probably would just, kill myself with fumes or something.
But how did you go? Like, how was Hurricane or Superstorm Sandy for you guys? Was it bad?
Yeah, it was. We were without power for a little while, and it was difficult not having, my devices. And then once the power came on, we were just besieged by endless hours of the Weather Channel. That was possibly more traumatic. But when we were in the one time I think I've talked to her before, we were in Williamsburg where Hurricane Irene came through. Mm-hmm. And we were without power for like 2.5 days in our resort. So we weren't even home. There was no power. Most of the restaurants around were closed because they had no power. Our devices quickly lost power. We were like reading by, I don't think we even had candles. I don't know if they gave us candles at the front desk or something, but that was really roughing it. Those were frontier days, man.
Yeah. Frontier days.
Sitting in our nice resort with no power.
Do you remember, like, years and years ago, there was this series on PBS called, like, something about the frontier, and this was, 15 years ago or more, and they got families to go live as if they were pioneers. And, they had to, like, learn how to churn butter and, cook everything over an open flame, whatever. And my favorite part was this little boy who, in one of the interviews, they're like, I forget what they asked him, but he goes, "It's like we're living in the shoes of our ancestors, but these shoes suck." And this was before kids even had like Wi-Fi and devices. And I remember the big scandal was that his older like teenage sisters had some contraband shampoo that they weren't supposed to have.
Contraband.
That was a modern convenience that they were not supposed to have.
Oh no.
These shoes suck.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, we have no emergency planning in our house at all. I just accept prayer that there will not be an emergency is basically our plan.
Yeah. Well, the reason I suggested this topic initially was because we were out with our friends the other night, and it was the day after the whole Hawaii thing.
Oh yeah.
And
how freaky is that?
Yeah, and
I cannot imagine.
so we were all kind of talking like, what would you do? And are you ready? And are you prepared for something? And we've always kind of been prepared for earthquakes living down here. But we don't, like, I don't, you know, so my friend was saying, you know, do you have cash stored away? Because, you know, when there's a disaster, well, I've been in a situation once where we were in a community that was surrounded by a wildfire. And all the ATM machines went down.
Sure.
So cash was the currency. So we can use our debit cards. So so we're talking, okay, do you have money? Do you have bottled water? And how much water? And do you have blankets? And do you have, you know, just a wrench to turn off the gas?
Oh, man.
Like it was all kinds of, and I was so stressed when we went there. I was like, oh my God, we're not ready.
I have a wrench, but I would totally not know how to turn off the gas.
Me neither.
I would probably just make an explosion.
Well, when we first moved here, I bought this like big kind of earthquake kit, this all-encompassing earthquake kit that I think has a wrench in it. There you go. But I'd be afraid to use it for the same reason. But I feel a little unprepared. Although I do have a ladder that we can throw out our top story and somebody can climb down.
We have one of those.
That seems like a good idea. We do not.
But we certainly have never practiced using it, and
no.
You know, in an emergency, I don't know.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff like a fire that could conceivably happen. Yeah. But you see, do you guys have where you are this commercial? I can't think of what car it's for, but there's a meteor about to hit the earth, and these people are just jumping in their car to go, and they have so much storage room in the back that they keep putting more and more stuff in it. No. I feel like that would be me.
Let me just throw some stuff
There's still more room, and so they grab the big screen TV. And
nice.
No.
Yeah, I have to think we'd be pretty screwed. I mean, we have the paper products, and we do have like a chest freezer.
Yeah.
So we'd have to grill everything, but we do have a grill. But we'd have to like quickly, you know, eat everything that's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's where you would be in a good position, Catherine, with all those paper products. Barter.
Yes.
You would be able to barter for just about anything. Okay. No water? Do you have toilet paper? We'll take some of that water. Thank you.
And couldn't you take some of that meat? Like if it was wintertime, you could take it outside and
you could
like,
definitely
freeze dry it.
Definitely use the outdoors for a freezer. As long as there wasn't like widespread looting, you know.
That's true. Oh dear.
Yeah. And I just worry about, I mean, there are so many people that live down here. There's no way that we're going anywhere because somebody suggested, well, get on the road and start driving. And we're like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Same for northern New Jersey.
Yeah. So it's a little, like, I get a little stressed when I watch those kind of disaster shows. But other than that, I try not to think about it.
Just be the one who just sits in their house with their loved ones while the disaster envelops them. You know,
like, it was nice knowing you guys.
They don't make it to the end of the movie, but it's relatively quick.
I always think of that horrible scene in the Titanic where the old couple just lie down in their bed and accept their fate.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, am I a fighter or am I just going to give up? I was wondering what part of my personality.
You have a lot of ketchup chips in your basement, Nicole, and you could just go down there and it'd be a good way to go.
Just enjoy your last days.
Ketchup, chips, and good chocolate, and you know, go off with a smile on your face.
Oh boy, I don't want to think about that. Let's move on to something more pleasant,
a happier topic.
Yes,
we'll just remain in our state of denial. I forgot to say that this was our Monday speed round, but remember, you can hear a new speed round every Wednesday through Friday. Tuesday, you just have to settle for me and Catherine talking about entertainment.
That's right, and things to do while you're waiting for the world to end.
As long as you have Wi-Fi and you get Netflix, you're good.
You're going to be great. Okay. Well, now we're going to move to our Roundabout Roundup and bring you some of the things we've read or seen or used recently that we want to shout out and share with you. So, yes. Terri, what do you have for us?
Yeah, I watched a new food show that's on Netflix called Somebody Feed Phil, and it's basically Phil Rosenthal, who created Everybody Loves Raymond, going to different parts of the world and eating things and enjoying them, which doesn't sound like, it sounds like you would like to be there eating the things too, just watching somebody eat great stuff, but it's not always things that I think I would personally like to eat. But his delight in it is just so enjoyable. I found it really, really fun to watch. And it was like, Catherine, what was that show that Ricky Gervais was involved in that we watched?
An Idiot Abroad.
For round 2. An Idiot Abroad, which basically they sent some poor schlub who didn't want to go to these exotic places to eat these exotic foods. It's very much like that, except that Phil is into it. He is so excited to try all these different things. And it just... I found it really fun. Apparently, he had a PBS show called I'll Have What Phil's Having, and he did one season of that, and then it was too expensive for PBS to produce and not too expensive for Netflix to produce, so it's moved over to Netflix, changed its name a little, but it's basically the same show. So on Netflix, you can see both the current season of Somebody Feed Phil and the previous season of I'll Have What Phil's Having, and they're both, if you enjoy watching travel and food, it's a lot of fun. I was, not feeling great over the weekend, and I was just hanging out on the couch watching stuff, and it was just perfect. It was really enjoyable. So check it out. I think you will like it. There's, for Alice and Janney fans, as we have proclaimed ourselves to be, if you look at the I'll Have What Phil's Having in the episode that's in Los Angeles, there's a little segment with her that starts at about the 27-minute mark, which is, confirms her middle name of so good. She's just... cute even when she's being herself. So
very nice.
Oh,
that is my share for this week.
Okay. And how about you, Nicole? What do you have to share?
So Brookes Publishing just put out an app, which is actually kind of cute. It's called Learn and Play a Tip a Day, and it's for early childhood educators, parents, people who work with young children, and it's an app, and you open it up, and every day there's some kind of a tip to, boost their academic or their intellectual or physical kind of well-being. And there's a focus on inclusion, which I like, and there's lots of graphics and quotes and calendars and ideas. And somewhere in there, I've been told that I'm in there. Some of my quotes have been in there. So I haven't seen them yet, but...
if you find them, let Nicole know.
Let me know if you see my name. But no, it's quite a cute little app. I would.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Brookes is the publisher of your book. We should
the
say.
Publisher.
That's
right.
Of
the book that
the upcoming book
that is out on April 2nd, 2018. Stay tuned.
We will be hearing more about that, I'm fairly certain.
Well, I also was going to mention some books. My husband and son just happened upon this little series of books, of picture books the other day, and brought them home to give as a gift to a little girl that we know. It's called the Little People Big Dreams series, from a publisher called Francis Lincoln Books, which I think is British. And they are biographies of notable women, Marie Curie, Amelia Earhart, Maya Angelou, Frida Kahlo, and they're picture books, and the art is beautiful. It's not all the same artists, so they vary a little bit, and the stories are very, very simple and basic, but they do have ways to learn more at the end. When I was in elementary school, the only thing I ever wanted to get from the library was biographies, and only of women and girls. So, that it just made me think of that. There were we had some kind of huge series of biographies in the school library, I remember. And, there were 4 or 5. There was Florence Nightingale and, maybe I don't know, Louisa May Alcott or something. There were a couple. Some first ladies, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And those were the ones that I would take out of the library. I would never take out the ones about men. I was not interested. So anyway, these I thought were really nice to look at, and featured women. So they are called Little People, Big Dreams.
Nice.
Very cool. And now for our final segment today, we are doing a little shameless self-promotion and directing you to some of the things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. Terri, what do you have?
Well, this isn't something that's on my site specifically, but the Parenting Roundabout podcast is now on Spotify. Allegedly, I have had trouble finding it. You can't search for it in the desktop app, but you can search for it in your phone app. But we will give you a link that should take you there on your desktop, should you wish to. And check it out. Listen, if you are a Spotify person and you spend most of your time on Spotify and would like to listen to us blather on in that format, check it out. Tell us what you think.
I'm on Spotify.
See if you can find it.
I'm going to do that right now.
Let me know if it works.
After this. Catherine, how about you?
Once again, I have something at highlights.com. This is part of a series that I did on executive function. So the one about preschoolers is out now. It is called Want to Raise an Eager Learner? ? So it focuses on preschoolers and executive function.
Nice.
Awesome. And mine is not on my site, but it's something that I did that was quite pleasantly surprised to see yesterday. About a year ago, I submitted an article to the George Lucas site for educators called Edutopia. Yeah. And it's like a ginormous, well-known site amongst educators. So I submitted something in there and they put it into their reader forum, which was just kind of like, okay, whatever, right? Okay, thanks. And then I don't know what happened yesterday, but I found it again and I checked it out and I had a look at it because I thought, oh, I wonder if anybody's even looked at it, being in a reader forum. And they've actually moved it onto their regular site due to audience interest.
Yay.
Wow.
So, yes. So I was
they sent you a
big
fat paycheck in thanks for providing that content.
Yeah, right. Not even a letter saying that, hey, it's over there.
This is why you have to Google yourself from time to time, or you'll never find out about
things
like this.
Yes, you'll never find out. And there it was. And I'm listed, as an author or whatever on their site. So I was like, hey, I'm moving up in the world.
Can you update it to include your book?
Well, that's kind of what I want to do. I think I'm going to contact them and say,
yes.
Hey, I need to update this. And it's called 5 Easy Ways to Teach Students Who Work Below Grade Level in Your Classroom.
Nice.
So, yes, quite excited about that.
Something your book has lots of advice on.
It does, and which is coming out on April 2nd. And it's available on Amazon. Just Google my name,
I have now
Nicole
read
Eredics.
it, or at least skimmed it fairly thoroughly.
Oh, that's right.
And
Because you gave me that awesome blurb.
Yes. Blurbs are me.
If anybody wants to hire somebody to write a blurb for their book, Terri Morrow.
I only do it free for friends.
Terri Morrow is the blurb babe.
Ooh, that's a new title.
Yeah, that's my resume. That's your blurb for me. I'll put that on a shirt with a little Nicole Eredics below it.
Sounds good.
Well, I'm feeling pretty good, so let's take it out of this podcast now. That's it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe so that you get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter, where I'm at Momitude, Catherine is at Cihaleko, and Nicole is Nicole Eredics. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at Roundabout Chat and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram too. Best of all, stop by our podcast page at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on all the stories we mentioned, and talk back in the comments. Thanks to John Moran at johnjmoran.com for providing our in and out music, and I wish everyone a great week.